Now I'd like to recognize the gentleman from Georgia for 5 minutes, Mr. Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know how to follow that exchange, but nevertheless, I will do my best. Thank y'all for being here. Let me tell you, I represent the entire coast of Georgia. I have over 100 miles of coastline. My concern in this hearing today is mainly about marine engines because we're having a lot of problems with the new blends having a degradation on our engines. And it's something I'm very concerned about. It's my understanding that the butanol has properties that more closely resemble that of gasoline or align with gasoline than ethanol does, and that it has more of or less of an impact, less of a negative impact on engines. In fact, the National Marine Manufacturers Association and the American Boat and Yacht Council underwent a 5-year study with the Department of Energy studying this, and from what they have come up with, comparing it to ethanol. And that study said that the biobutanol and similar biofuels have a higher energy content and similar emission properties and reduction properties while lowering the degrading properties on the engines. Have you heard of this? Have anyone heard of this?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Columbus? Yeah, that's fine.
I have. The producers of isobutanol are eager to try to work something out with EPA so that they can, in fact, put their additive with blend stock set for E10. They've got to go through a whole process. Anything you can do to help EPA.
So you're telling me the problem is something that we need to be addressing here in Congress or EPA?
There is a regulatory impediment to their taking the product to market in an efficient way. And yes, it is EPA, and my bet is that the folks at EPA would be thrilled to hear from me about this.
Okay, well, thank you for that information. I didn't realize that, and that's very important. Can it work? Do you think that this would be better?
Look, it is a different thing than fuel ethanol. Can it work? Sure. It is a relatively small production item to date.
Well, all right, can I stop you right there and ask you, it's a relatively small production item today. How are we going to get it to market then? Because it's not going to do me any good if we can't get the product to the people.
You will get it to market the same way ethanol historically has gotten to market. It will go by train or barge, and it will go in.
But I'm talking about demand, if there's not enough demand for it.
Well, I think what you just said is, if it's marketed properly in the marine community, there'll be plenty of demand for it. How it will get to that market will be the same way that ethanol moves or that any other component moves.
Right, I understand the transportation, but I'm just looking at it in terms of the economics. I mean, you know, if there's not enough of a market there, a demand for it, then I'm afraid it's not going to get to people.
Well, the manufacturers of it assure me that they think there's plenty enough demand to support their efforts.
Okay.
They're just trying to get rid of the regulatory impediment.
Okay, well, fair enough, and we certainly will try to do that. Let me ask you, while I've got you, Mr. Columbus, about how it's marketed. And when I say that, let me ask you something. You know what E88 and E15 mean to my wife? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And yet we have this problem with marketing, and that's a big concern of mine because we've got a number of consumers who are using these fuels inappropriately and putting them in marine engines, and it's causing them significant problems.
Mr. Carter, with due respect to those people that you know who do that, I cannot help them if they will not read letters that are this big on the pump that say, don't do that.
I get it, and I understand that, but at the same time, can we do a better job of the marketing process of it?
Well, I mean, I think all of us have done what we can when we rolled out these, ultra-low sulfur fuels. When we roll out a new fuel, EPA undertakes an effort with the refining community, with the marketing community, to educate consumers. I cannot help people who will not read these things. And I know that sounds hard, but what you're finding out is the #1 thing that people buy gasoline on isn't what it says on the pump. It's that big, stupid price sign. It is, what does it cost?
Absolutely, I would agree with you.
And if they are prepared to put their second most expensive investment at risk for 3 cents a gallon or 4 cents a gallon, it's a choice. In the 70s, I watched people carve out fill pipe restrictors to put leaded gasoline meant to take unleaded, and then were angry and sued retailers because they said that leaded gasoline that you let me buy at your outlet poisoned my catalytic converter, and when I went to register my car, it cost me $1,000. I can't help those people.
Mr. Columbus, I'm with you. I understand your point. I think it's a valid point, but with all due respect, I think we and the industry can do a better job in helping by simply using better marketing and
The gentleman's time
and
is...
applying. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. So I hope you understand my
Sympathize
point.
with your problem, Mr. Carter.
Thank you. Thank you.